Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling. Shall we see what's going on a lovely little island on Fawnhollow today on a very rainy Sunday? Excuse me, my throat is like... It seems to have been raining for the past few days in Animal Crossing, which has really motivated me, I suppose, to put down actual paths around to prevent the wildflowers from spreading everywhere. Although we still got, let's think, we done the autumn area, we done the winter area, we just got the spring area and the summer area to do now. Spring, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with the summer area, but the spring area seems kind of easy just to do like some foresty sort of path that we can find. But anyway, hello everyone. Right now in Fawnhollow, it's 2:37 PM on Sunday, June 27th, 2021. That isn't the news speaker today, so we'll go about our usual business in Animal Crossing and just vibe, you know. You know how it is. What have I been up to today? The bug snacks Fawnhallow art is basically done. It's still missing, like I haven't shaded the grass yet and I haven't done the highlights, but it's essentially done. So that's all nice. I played some Binding of Isaac today, and actually last night as well. Get out of here, Happy Home Academy, judging me for my decorations I've had since like a year ago. Who's this? It's Biscuit. Dear Dear's brain, do you like artsy stuff? Because I found something real neat when I was cleaning. It made my brain think all kinds of weird thoughts just by staring at it. Isn't that cool? Now it's your turn, Thinker Biscuit. Did you perhaps give us the Thinker statue? Wild painting right half. Is this a right half? Not. Is this the correct, legitimate half? I do not recall. We might even have a right half now I think about it. But we can pay a visit to Blathers and see what he says. I don't know why I opened it this way around. Didn't really think about it. I think this is a wrong half. I think this is a forgery at least, but I can't quite recall, so we'll sort of just have to see. Okay, K-Side is here, of course, because we had the bug off yesterday. We'll just see what Blather says when we give it to him. But yeah, I played like some Binding of Isaac last night. As an update, what I was doing before was I was just hitting random on all the tainted characters and just playing for unlocking stuff I haven't got. I landed on Tainted Lazarus. Now, Tainted Lazarus, if you don't know, is a very notorious character in this update because he's unfinished and he is notoriously very unfun and very underpowered. I played him about 3 times. I can confirm he is extraordinarily weak and extraordinarily unfun. Kind of. See, there was a bit of asterisk there as I get a phone notification and I'll quickly check to see if it's something important. It's okay, it's not. So I'll just leave that be. If you don't know, Binding of Isaac is a roguelite sort of dungeon crawler-esque thing with, yeah, that's probably the best way to describe it, where you accrue items to make yourself more powerful and hopefully defeat some bosses. Okay, let's see. Fruit, chop wood, change, buy items. Okay, can do. Yeah, so you generally accrue items to try and defeat bosses. Now, there's a lot of different characters in the game. I think there's about 34. And I've been playing it a lot recently because it's a fantastic update, and I really liked it before. But then the Afterbirth expansion came out, I played it like a little bit, and I didn't really play it much then. But I played it a lot in Rebirth, when Rebirth first came out, or not too soon afterwards. Or not too long afterwards. And now Repentance come out, which is basically the piece de resistance of all the expansions, and it's really, really fun, and I'm having a great time enjoying it in between drawing and doing other stuff. But Tainted Lazarus, basically, is a character, is notoriously probably the least fun character currently. There are plans to make him better, but what his mechanic basically is you're kind of playing 2 characters at once, but not simultaneously. You're basically playing 2 runs at the same time, but you're flipping back and forth. Because every time you clear one room and move on to the next room, you flip back to like a dead version of a character, and then once you cleared a room with that character, you flip back to a live version. Sounds cool on paper. It does. If you don't think it does, then fair enough. Maybe this is a bit too gimmicky for you, which is fair enough. But when I first heard about this character, I was like, that seems really cool. And when I, heard more and more about it, it was like, oh, he's actually really underpowered. So you might say, what's the benefit of this character? Well, we'll get onto that. What's the drawbacks? Okay. Well, firstly, you're playing 2 characters at once, so you had to micromanage now 2 characters. And when you accrue items, now you had to give items to 2 characters rather than just 1. Okay, fair enough. That sounds quite difficult. It is quite difficult. And it's not difficult in the way you think. It's not the difficult in the micromanaging and the distribution of your items. The difficult part is that you basically get half items. You're basically, instead of running 1 run with full power, you're running 2 runs in series at half power, which is very difficult, as you can imagine, to do. Because you don't get any more increased items, and there's not an easy way for you to get more items. Like using your character's mechanics. it just is, that's just what it is. You just have to just make do. So basically, to get a good enough run going, you have to basically have you have to have the equivalent of one ridiculously lucky run to get two very good runs at the same time. But the plan to change him so he can get more items basically, which is good to see. But yeah, I was like, when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, that sounds pretty bad, but it's not. I wonder if it's that bad. So then I gave him a shot. It is so bad because not only do you basically have half items. That means you have half a damage. And the one benefit that this character has is on long boss fights, you have an item which you can switch between your characters. You can do it once every like 6 rooms, I think. So you can't do it like willy-nilly, but you can do it reasonably often to like, pick up an item with a different character, or be like clear one off difficult room with a different character instead. So this is, in theory, your maximum health is doubled. Not really, because it's not your maximum health is doubled, it's more your maximum health capacity is doubled, because you only start off with about 3 hearts. 3 hearts on one character, 2 hearts on the other character, and you can go up to a maximum of 12 with each character. The problem is, since you have half items, it's really difficult to get up to to the full 24 hearts, so you can have a double health pool on both characters. And equally more so, the ways that you do so with items which recharge every room now take twice as long to recharge, because you now are switching back between characters every other room. So it's a sort of like a load of compounding different effects, which makes it really difficult. It's a character with basically one very small upside, which is very hard to take advantage of because of all the other characters' mechanics. So it basically becomes a very hard character. So I randomed into it and I was like, oh no, I've heard a lot about this character, let's give it a shot. Spent about 40 minutes and I got about 3 floors deep, and I think how many floors are there in total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it's about 10, 11 depending on what you do. And they get progressively harder over and over and over again. I didn't mean to actually like talk about that, but that works too. It took 40 minutes and I got about 3 floors in and I died because I was just, it's the first time playing, it was a bit weak and I was like, okay, it's a bit strong, a bit strange. So I just went to say, and then I played again, about 50 minutes this time. I got 4 floors deep this time, and then I died again because I didn't have enough damage. And I was like, all right, there's something you can do to tilt the odds in your favours. You basically keep restarting runs until you get a decent start. So that's what I did. I kept restarting runs until I did a decent start, and about an hour in, and I got down to like 6 floors, and then I died because I made a really, really stupid decision, which was totally my fault in the end, but if something that should have worked out, I just mechanically failed. I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give this one more try. Like, I didn't do this like all in one sitting. I did this like spread out over the entire day. I was like, I can give this one more try, and I played it really late at night. It was like an hour and 20 minutes, and I got to show, if you want to know, which is like the second last floor. I got to the final boss of that one and I died because I just didn't have enough damage and to clear most of the rooms, and didn't have enough health to survive the amount of damage I was taking. So it was just like, at that point I was like, okay, I'm just going to wait for this character to be buffed because this is miserably difficult. Either that, or what I'm trying to do right now is basically I'm trying to unlock more like game-breaking items. So there's a high chance I run into them, and then from an earlier stage I can break the game and get really overpowered runs. It's strange because it falls into that camp of game mechanics or things where like I really like weird mechanics in games, and playing characters I like strange ones. I mean, see, yesterday I talked about I like unique mechanics in a character which give defining traits. This character has a really cool like motif going for it, like the duality is a strong part of them. Like constantly flipping back and forth means basically you have to micromanage 2 runs. Cool. It's just the huge downside of having half items, not literally half items, but effectively half items, makes it so hard to play and so frustrating. And the worst part is he's a difficult character. Sure, there's room for difficult characters in the game, but the thing is he's a really boring difficult character because he's boring just by the fact that you're like slowly being choked out throughout the game. No, this isn't meant to be a criticism at Nolan McMillan. I think he's made a fantastic game. Every single other character, I think, is a knockout for park. Maybe Tainted Apollyon is a little bit boring, but that's about it. And Blue Baby's, but he's like an OG hard character, so, that's a fair pass. I think every other character is really cool and unique in their own way. There's arguments of Tainted Eden, people not liking him. I actually quite like Tainted Eden. I know, call me crazy. But it's a thing character that sort of appeals to me, and I really want to like Tainted Lazarus. It's just, unfortunately, even though his mechanics are so cool to me and it's really fun, the amount of difficulty is to play his character is by far and away like the only thing I can think about when I'm playing. I'm like, I'm 15 minutes into the run. I'm like halfway through. What I would be done with like almost any other character by now, but here I am playing two subpar builds. I guess that's the worst part of it, is because the fact the one I got really far in, I was playing with two not really subpar, like I was playing with two like 3.5 out of 10 builds. When I was just thinking the time, if I was just playing one character, it would be a 7 out of 10 and a pretty easy win for me. But because it's this character, it's so difficult. But yeah, he's going to be buffed soon. I can't wait for that. I haven't actually played Tainted Jacob or Tainted Lost yet, but those are the other two really difficult characters. But they're actually quite amusingly fun for some people. Tainted Lost is basically a hyper glass cannon, probably the most absurd glass cannon in this game. Where it's, if you ever get hit, you die. But they have a better item pool. So they basically have no health, but they also have a better item pool, so they can't get useless items effectively for them. There's apparently a bug where some items you can still get are useless for you, but you know that's not what it's meant to be. I forgot to donate this painting to museum, so we'll run back up and donate the painting, and then I don't know what we'll do. We could go cedar camp hunting. We haven't done that for a while. It's quite difficult, but yeah. So you can build basically crazy strong runs. It's just like, if you ever make a mistake, you will die. Which is interesting, you know? It's not, obviously, it's frustrating, don't get me wrong, at the same time, but for a lot of people, I think it's an interesting challenge, and he's very clear in the way he's difficult, and the way he's difficult sort of appeals well to the game's mechanics, because he's difficult in he's weak in one particular aspect, rather than being weak in just like overall like lower stats and that sort of thing. Tainted Jacob is a very hectic one. What basically he is he's constantly being chased by his twin evil brother, essentially. And if he ever gets hit by his evil brother twice, he instantly dies. If he gets hit once, he gets turned into Lost, which means that he becomes a glass cannon. He gets no more health. Sorry about that, I'm back. So yeah, I mean, difficulty in games is always fair enough. There's much discussion to be had about difficulty in games because, especially like difficulty modes and that sort of thing. I found myself, I'm personally completely in favour of difficulty modes, and you know, I think some games do it better than others. There's a really, really good video by, I think it's Game Maker's Toolkit, but I'm not sure, about difficulty in games, because there was an infamous case about, I can't remember, some reviewer or something, playing Dark Souls on like a easier mode or something, or I can't remember, something like that, and then a load of criticism about it being like, Dark Souls is meant to be a hard game. Why? Why would you play easy mode? You like cheated yourself or something. It's like, but it's a bit of a flippant view, but my view is kind of like, who cares? In a sense. Asterisk, not straight up, who cares? How people choose to play should be completely up to them. If they want to play in easy mode and have much more relaxing time with the game, and yeah, not necessarily be faced with as high difficulty as a lot of the other people who play the game on like the normal mode face, then I think that's fair enough. But it's a bit more nuanced than that, because humans aren't necessarily the greatest at choosing the difficulty that would be right for them, because I suppose my points all arch on it being like, oh, you should just play what makes it most fun. Well, without playing the game first, it's kind of hard to decide what is the most fun. You know, maybe you're like a real min-maxer, you really love getting into the nitty-gritty of things, and you love to feel a challenge, and you don't get frustrated at having to attempt a level 1,000 times just to get like the perfect strategy involved, that sort of thing. Well, you might not want to play the game on normal. You might find it too easy. You might find it really a bit boring. It doesn't sort of get the thrill going of the sort of thing you really like. Okay, so we apparently already donated this one. I'm just going to go see if it's a legitimate one or not. So yeah, I mean, you would benefit by playing it on like a hardcore mode or a much more difficult mode or that sort of thing, rather than a normal mode straight off the bat. But, you know, if you don't know any better, oh, it's a legitimate one, you would just play it on a normal mode and you would not think nothing of it. On the flip side, you could be someone who's much more chill, relaxed, or maybe have some accessibility requirements which make the video game difficult to play. Like maybe your coordination or reaction times aren't necessarily as good. Like just by like I suppose versus something you can't really control, like something completely out of control is what I meant to say. In which case, maybe you'd really benefit from having an assist mode. The normal mode might be a bit too challenging for the wrong ways that you make it much more unenjoyable. So that's why there's a lot of nuance in this. Like, if everyone just plays on standard normal mode, yes, okay, on one hand, all the developers will be able to absolutely impart the exact vision they wanted on the game for you and for everyone. But the problem is not everyone wants to or should be playing on normal mode. And the harder problem is not everyone knows what they should be doing on it. And it's very common, especially in like hardcore games, for them to sort of like infantilize the normal mode, right? They get the easy moders or like, ooh, cry baby, beginner baby coward mode or something, and then the hard mode is like, oh yeah, hard rock, absolute hardcore badass mode or something like that, which is one, like, okay, maybe if it fits a thematics, like if it's like Duke Nukem, okay, I'll give it a pass, but otherwise it's sort of just like, like I don't know if you should be swaying the player that much, but you know, I suppose that's up to the developer, it's not really up to me in the first place. But even just saying like easy, normal, hard, very hard or something like that gives a wrong sort of impression. Like most people will probably be like, oh, I should probably play on normal mode, or like some people will be like, normal, I want to get a bit of a challenge, I'll drive a hard mode, when really it's not the perfect match for them, depending on what the developer's vision for the game was in the first place, which is like confusing, I suppose, to say the least. Let's go visit Claude. Then we will... Do we need customization kits? Not really. Don't know what we can really buy. I guess I'll just buy some things and sell them again. Oh, Claude's not even here, fair enough. And then we'll do the other missions, and then we will... I'm not sure, actually. I think we'll just fish today, because I can't bother to... I like this conversation topic that we're on. Yeah. And plus, easy... normally the difficulty options in video games are just really binary, in a sense. I don't think we talked to Raymond for about 2 weeks now. Never mind, apparently we have. Because, for example, just like in a shooter game, like, say, Call of Duty or something, easy, normal, hard, and very hard, or whatever the difficulty modes are on any sort of shooter normally, is just basically how much health does the opponent have. How much they have, like, 10 times as much health on, like, hard mode, which is kind of like a really boring way to add artificial difficulty, and it might not necessarily be the way that the difficulty should be increased for you, because I guess it kind of just boils down to more customization options equals good, which is, you know, something I wholly believe in, so people can tailor the experience themselves. The problem is it's really hard to judge that sort of thing without knowing beforehand and like playing the game for yourself firsthand. So that's, you know, kind of where the difficulty comes in. But yeah, like it depends on the difficulty. Like maybe I'm trying to think of what's a game with like two different sort of types of mechanics. Like, I don't know, maybe it's in like you're playing Hollow Knight and something. The platforming challenges by themselves, super easy for you. You love platforming, that sort of thing, but you're not very good at fighting enemies in the boss battles. Like you don't have a good enough reaction speed to really see what's going on, but you can plan things out really well. So that's like, you know, a weird disconnect of difficulty there. So you'd really benefit from being like easier boss battles, but maybe harder platforming challenges or something like that. So like harder Overwatch challenges. That's not the best example because Hollow Knight's quite like seamless between its two like sort of different play modes, but you can see how that would easily apply to a game with like two different like modes, where like a strategic mode and then perhaps a much more real-time strategy sort of mode. You can see how it would be like, oh, this is for some people they'd find this part hard, and for some people we're gonna find this part too easy. It's like, but since the difficulty modes are sort of just like give a wide paintbrush to wide broad strokes to the entire thing, being like, okay, we'll just make it X amount easier all across the board. It sort of loses the detail you want, and even more so, the difficulty options kind of don't really tell you a lot of the time what is being made my storage is for. Okay, never mind, we're clearing out of storage is what we're going to be doing today. They don't really tell you what's becoming easier, what's becoming harder. And a really good example of that was brought up in that video by is it Game Maker's Toolkit? I'm not sure. Just search like difficulty in video games, you'll probably find it if you're interested. One really good example from a game I played is Cuphead. They just give you like normal and like hard mode or something, but they don't, or like regular and expert mode, I can't remember. They don't tell you anything about what they do, and they don't tell you about anything about rewards. Like you'll never know that you can't get the highest grade unless you play out in expert mode. And some of the difficulty, like on the one hand, is like they do make it easier by like reducing health, but also they take away like parts of a gameplay and experience in the easy mode. Like some entire phases or bosses are completely skipped out on easy mode because I guess they determined it's too hard, rather than, you know, decreasing the amount of attacks or like decreasing a wind up, or no, increasing a wind up, sorry, for the boss or anything like that. Which I'm not saying. I'm not calling the developers lazy, because they, for one, definitely the Cuphead developers are not lazy. You've seen how much they've done to make this game just completely like invert the rubber hose old 1920s cartoon style. What I'm saying is, I'm sure there are better solutions, but obviously you can't always implement them because you don't always have time to. You don't always have a budget to, you know. Maybe it's not exactly the vision you have of a game. Fair enough. It's just like it just, I guess it feels kind of bad that there'd be a worry that if I was playing on an easier difficulty, I suppose if I was someone who wanted to, I'd be missing out on things. And it's like, that feels bad. Like, you kind of want the full experience, don't you? But perhaps I'm just someone who, like, the difficult modes are just a little bit too difficult for me, you know? We're going to put these away in storage because we're not actually decorating the summer area for ages anyway. So it just feels, I guess, unfair might be the way I want to say it. I'm not sure if unfair is quite right, because that makes it sound like the developers are like antagonistic or something towards people who need more accessibility built into the games. So that's not really what I mean. I mean, like, it's like FOMO, you know? You pay for a game and then you're getting less of it because you couldn't experience it through not really your fault of your own. It just kind of feels bad playing a game being like, oh, I want to play it and experience it how I want, but I also, you know, want to experience that part of the game. I guess in this aspect it's different from like a story mode, like where you choose different paths. It's because you don't get to choose. You just sort of be like, I want to see that attack, but I just want it a little bit easier for me to work with or something in that game. And in this level. So it's like, okay. But then the video goes on to talk about like games that do it well, and Celeste is brought up. And now I'm playing through Celeste, I think that's honestly a very cool idea for something that I didn't even really think about much. Basically, in Celeste, you can play the game just completely normally. Everything is essentially optional. You can stop at any point. They have optional levels, and they tell you, they really reinforce the idea that things are optional. For example, there's collectible strawberries in the game, which you do through much more difficult platforming challenges at certain opportunities, or rewards through thorough exploration of the levels, or understanding of the game's mechanics. But it's the sort of thing where, oh yeah, they say very early on at the beginning, these strawberries are optional. They will not affect anything apart from maybe a cutscene at the end of the game or something. You do not need to collect them to beat the game. They only exist for bragging rights. So the fact that they so explicitly state that, you might say that's a bit of like a weird 4-4 break and sort of takes you out of the immersion of the game, which I think maybe there's an argument to be made for that, but I think the bigger point and the better point of that is it really reinforces the idea in the person's head that it's okay to skip out these. These are not unoptimal, these are not non-optional things, and non-optional in quotation marks, because sometimes things are optional, you just get a bad ending, or you miss out on a load of content or that sort of thing. Celeste, straight up don't. You can get everything without collecting a single strawberry, but you know, the thing is, it sort of puts the challenge into the player's hands now. So now the player's like, oh, if they see a strawberry out of the way, they can look at themselves and be like, do I want to, you know, have a little go at getting that strawberry? It's going to be quite a challenge, maybe this one, so maybe I'll give this one a skip, and then, or whatever. Or maybe they'll see it and be like, hey, this one seems doable, I'm going to give it a try. And then if they try and very fail, they can feel remorseful and just skip out on getting them, because it doesn't matter in the end, effectively. But then for people like me who really like these sort of challenges and like to collect things, I'm like, okay, I'll push myself and try and get all these strawberries, and it's very rewarding in the end. And yeah, it's basically custom difficulty tailored to yourself, and it really reinforces the idea for the player of difficulty is in their control. They should play the way that makes them have fun. The other thing that Celeste do really well is they have an assist mode, and the assist mode is really cool. It's basically like in a fighting game where you get like a training room and you get like all these different options. That's what you can do. I believe they tell you about the assist mode very early on in the game, but then they reinforce the idea that this is not the intended experience that the developers wanted you to have when you played this game. We're only looking for cedar cam, so we don't really need to fish off anything else. Although there might be fish we don't have a model of. So perhaps we should fish up everything. Alright, I convinced myself. They really establish early on in the game that this is not the intended experience, but then they add the caveat, but if playing the game currently is not like, is not a fun experience for you, or you have your own requirements which make it difficult to enjoy your game, then please do tweak these settings as you see fit. So it's sort of just like, it gives, the thing that's really good about this is it tells your reader, yes, this is not the intended way to play this game. If you wanted to play the way the developers intended you to play it, and everything balanced around that sort of way, play it without this mode on. But then it reinforces the idea that it's totally okay to turn these things on if it like sullies the enjoyment of your game. If you just can't do it, like if like it's like accessibility in games all over again. Like gamers with disability who can't necessarily perform these actions exactly as the developer wanted, or for whatever reason, now have an option to do it. And even those gamers without disabilities can tweak things how they like, because what if you're like some super busy businessman or something who works like 18 hours a day or something, just wants to relax and unwind with a game of Celeste in the evening? They can now make it easier on them and less taxing on their brain. And the thing is, the assist mode is really, really fine-tuned for a lot of different things. Like you, one of the things, you can change the speed at which your game runs. So if you have like poor reaction times for whatever reason, or slower reaction times, you can just like slightly nudge your game down, like 90% or 80% speed, just so you can get that little. You can react in time. Basically, you get more ample time to better input the controls that you want to do. There's other things like you can turn on infinite dashes if like that's a thing which is inhibiting your fun of a game, and there's other things like that, or like infinite stamina I think might be one of them, I can't really remember. And that's super awesome. The fact that the game's put in such a detailed assist mode, which for a lot of players they're never going to use. Like 90% of players, I'd imagine, will go through their game and being like, okay, I'm not going to turn any of these on because, you know, I'm going to play the intended way. But for this 10%, it really matters to them, and it really opens more doors, I think, to games, which is what really they should be. Games are, like most other mediums, they're meant to be a global medium, like a medium for everyone, that anyone should be able to enjoy. So yeah, so to circle this all the way back to the Dark Souls thing, like I haven't played a Dark Souls game, and I'm not like a die-hard fan. So what I say perhaps doesn't hold as much weight or merit as someone who is a big fan of a series and sees it much more from the inside. I'm much more of an outsider looking in. I feel like Dark Souls or any of these sort of games should have difficulty. But it should have accessibility options or difficulty options, but not necessarily in the sense of this is an easy new game, this is hard new game, or that sort of thing. They should be able to pick and choose what has been intended in the game and what's not. So like if you wanted, you could put very strong weapons in the game, which not trivializes most of the content, but trivializes some aspect of the content. Like, I don't know, maybe you could put a ring in which, like, oh, there you are, Claude, automatically dodge rolls when you're about to be hit or something, if that's, and then if other players don't want to do it, don't want to use it, then they can choose not to. But the important part is the presentation of it, because if you just put it as the item in the game, people who want to beat the game, but also would actually appreciate a decent challenge, will be like, well, I had to use this item is so strong. So they're going to use it and possibly rob themselves from enjoying the game. But if they're doing it with Celeste way, where they basically put a message being like, this is not the intended way to play the game, or like bury it in the settings, and the developer mode like Darkest Dungeon do, it very clearly signifies this is not the intended way to play the game, but it's okay to put these on if this makes the game more enjoyable for you. In the end, so it's really up to you. So you can put on like allow ring of dodging or something like that. Like, I don't know. I'm not a game developer, so perhaps don't hold exactly what I say to a high standard or anything. But that's just kind of my thoughts. Is the game should be allowed to be enjoyed by multiple people and through multiple different ways, depending on what they want in the end. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. And difficulty in games has a lot to be improved on, certainly in certain games. But a lot of games also do it rather well. So yeah, I guess that's kind of my think tank on. I don't even know if that's how you use the word think tank, by the way. That's the word I always hear, but I don't know what it means. Hold on, let's just Google what think tank means very quickly, in case I said something incredibly rude and didn't mean to, which has happened before probably. But think tank, a body of experts providing advice and ideas on specific political or economic problems. Okay, not very relevant, but you can sort of see the parallels I was trying to draw there. Yeah, so just a penny for your thoughts, I suppose, on difficulty in video games and that sort of thing. Apparently we didn't sell this for some reason. Wait, hold on. Don't sell that. That must be what Claude just gave us, right? No, that's what Claude just gave us. Okay, no, Claude gave us a kanji tea. Okay. We'll put the flooring away because I can't remember if it should be something that's sold or not, and I don't want to sell something which shouldn't be sold, so... Yeah, that's just my little piece on difficulty in video games and that sort of thing. It's a complicated topic, and there's a lot to discuss, I think, in it, but it's an interesting thought process. So yeah, I guess that all stemmed from Binding of Isaac, Repentance, and Tainted Lazarus. Maybe if I finish most of the other characters and other stuff, I'll give Tainted Lazarus another whirl. Once I get stronger characters, once I get a lot better game. But right now he's just a little bit unfun, but he has a lot of potential to be fun, because he's really the sort of character like Tainted Eden, which I really like, the sort of chaotic sort of thing, and very weird mechanics. But anyway, I guess I'll round off this episode here, but actually very fun discussion today. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join me Dear Darling Discord and follow me on Twitter down below. I hope we can see each other again, but for now it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.